What's going on, guys? Jonah here. Today I'm super excited to make this video because one of my favorite audio manufacturers has just released and announced their newest soundbar. So Sonos has been one of my favorite manufacturers for quite a while now, ever since I first saw their Sonos Playbar. And the Playbar really changed the soundbar market because one, it was a little more expensive than most of the other stuff out there, but two, it blew everything out of the water. The sound quality was just amazing. But the Sonos Playbar is about 7 years old now. So they initially released it on February 12th, 2013. So well over 7 years now. So it's definitely time for a change. Now, back in 2018, they released the Sonos Beam. But that wasn't really a replacement for the Playbar because one, the Beam was $400 compared to the $700 that the Playbar was. And then also the Beam was a lot more compact. It wasn't meant to be a full-form soundbar. It's meant to be a much more sleek and compact design. But now Sonos has finally made a true replacement for the Playbar. And here comes the Sonos Arc. So the major difference between Sonos Arc and Sonos Playbar is that Sonos Arc has Dolby Atmos. So I've talked about Dolby Atmos probably way too much on this channel already. I don't have a ton of videos, but I've talked about Dolby Atmos a lot just because it's a really cool feature and it's something that's really starting to change the audio industry. So to see Sonos finally jump in and make a product that's Dolby Atmos compatible is just really cool and awesome. So of course, with Dolby Atmos, we have upward firing speakers. So when you look at the design of the Sonos Arc, it has 11 total drivers in it, 2 or 3 of which are firing upwards. You have some on the sides that are firing outwards that are trying to get the sound to the side of your ear, so it sounds like it's a surround sound environment or emulating surround sound environment. Now with all of these drivers, there's 8 that are woofers, there's 3 that are tweeters, and of course 11 Class D digital amplifiers. Now Sonos's amplifiers are really high quality. This is probably one of the main reasons why their soundbars are just so expensive. It's because they use high quality amplifiers and they use high quality speaker drivers. The Sonos Arc is coming in at $799 starting out, so that's $100 more than both the Playbar and Playbase when they were released. So $800 total, which is really pricey for a soundbar, but knowing Sonos, this thing is going to be absolutely amazing. Very new design, way different than anything else that they have. It's a 270-degree curved front of it. So if you look at the grill, it's curved completely. Maybe that's where they get the name Arc. Let's dive a little more into the specs. So it's 3.4 inches high, 4.5 inches deep, and 45 inches wide. We already mentioned that there's 11 Class D digital amplifiers. It has a far-field microphone array. So basically, we can use both Google Assistant and Amazon with this soundbar. So just like the Sonos Beam, Sonos Arc is going to have these 2 digital assistants available. It includes their trademark True Play software, which is essentially on your phone, you'll download their app, and then the soundbar is going to play audio, the app is going to listen to that audio, and it's going to start tuning the soundbar for your room and the acoustics of your room. It's just really awesome because this is going to completely change the sound experience for someone who doesn't know how to properly tune a soundbar. You know, EQ settings can be very difficult for people, and for all this to just be handled with a single app on your phone, it's going to make life so much simpler, and it's going to make the product just perform way better. It's available in both black and white matte finishes. Of course, there's status LEDs on the front that show the status for both the microphone and the speakers. Now, what's cool about this is it actually adjusts depending on the ambient room or the ambient light in the room. So the brighter the room is, the brighter the light's going to be. As it gets darker, that light will also dim itself, so it's not overpowering or distracting while you're watching TV or movies or whatever you're watching. The front buttons are actually touch controlled, so they're not physical clicky buttons, but they are capacitive touch controlled, which is pretty cool. Nice little feature there. It weighs in at a total of 13.78 pounds, and that's pretty heavy for a soundbar. So you know they're using some high quality ingredients or materials for this soundbar. Now, out of the box, it can be set on the entertainment center. If you want to wall mount it, you of course have to purchase their $79 compatible wall mount, but I'm sure if you wait a few months or a little while after it comes out, there'll be other third parties that make their own mounts that are going to be very fairly priced, not $80 for a soundbar wall mount, which is a little insane in my opinion. Now, what's cool about this little soundbar mount though is that there are some magnetic detectors in the back of the soundbar. So essentially when it knows it's on this wall mount, it's going to adjust the audio so that the bass isn't as rumbly. So if it's on the wall and the bass is pretty harsh, it's going to rumble that wall and vibrate the wall a little bit. So when it gets on this, it's going to change the audio frequencies so that it's not going to do that as much, and it won't cause the wall to shake, and won't annoy your neighbors, and won't annoy anyone that's upstairs in a different room. Let's go over the different ports on this soundbar. Of course, it has a power input, but what's probably the most exciting is that it has HDMI eARC. Now, the difference between eARC and ARC is that eARC can support a lot more surround sound formats than what ARC can. ARC typically only supports 5.1 channels of audio, but eARC can support that and much more, and that's why they need eARC in order for Dolby Atmos to actually work. I talked about this a little bit in my Nakamichi Shockwave Pro review, and essentially if you want to use the Dolby Atmos features on that unit, you have to use HDMI inputs, because if you're plugging everything into the TV, it's using HDMI ARC to get that audio back to the soundbar. It can only send 5.1 channels of audio. It's not able to send 7 channels plus the upper 2 channels, or the 2 upward firing channels, and that's basically what allows Dolby Atmos to work. So eARC is necessary for this to, Dolby Atmos to work properly. You don't want to have to plug everything into the soundbar, because that's very annoying, especially when you're trying to clean up the cables and all. So eARC, very nice feature. Thank you, Sonos. Of course, there's a digital optical port, and Sonos typically includes Ethernet ports on their units as well, so it has one of those. And it uses 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi connection if you want to wirelessly connect it. Thought it was kind of strange they didn't include 5 gigahertz on the spec sheet, so maybe it's just 2.4, that's what it said, so we'll just have to wait and see. It uses Apple AirPlay 2, so if you want to wirelessly send audio from your iPhone, iPad, Mac, that's easily doable with Apple AirPlay. Now, of course, it has an IR receiver on the front of it as well if you want to use the remote control that comes with it. They say it has a quad-core processor running at 1.4 gigahertz and a gigabyte of RAM. Now, just like all of their other soundbars, the Playbase, Playbar, and Beam, this one, the Sonos Arc, is going to integrate with all of your other Sonos products. So if you have the Sub, Play 1, Play 3, 1SL, Play 5, all of the above, it's going to integrate and work with those perfectly fine, so don't worry about that. Along with the Sonos Arc, they're releasing a new Generation 3 Sonos Sub. So main difference is that it's just upgrade electronics. It's the same design. You have the force canceling drivers, faster processor, more memory, etc., etc. So nothing major no major changes with the new Sub, but it is good that we mentioned them. The Sonos Sub comes in at $699 retail. So pretty expensive for a subwoofer, but it's going to sound great. So now if you want to put all this together and do a full surround sound system, so you go the Sonos Arc, the Sonos Sub, and 2 1SLs. Now the 1SLs don't have the microphone built into them, so you'd use those as wireless speakers. That's going to run you $1,856, which is that's pretty expensive sound system there, but I can only imagine what that sounds like. It's probably going to sound absolutely incredible. So I probably won't have that type of setup. I'll try and see if I can find someone that does, or if I can test that out in some way. But I'd love to hear a full-fledged surround sound setup with all Sonos products, because I'm sure it just sounds incredible. Now, we don't have any reviews on this soundbar yet. It's mostly just they've released it. We saw the reveal video. They've told us all the specs. So we haven't gotten to hear any sound samples or have anyone test the sound quality on it yet. I'm sure it's going to sound great. So I'm looking forward to when I get mine and I can test it out and show you guys. So if you aren't subscribed to this channel, I'd appreciate it if you click subscribe. If you enjoyed the video, please click like, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.